These are the stories making the headlines at this hour. On his second day at the APEC summit, President Yoon sat down with Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, saying all government channels are now fully restored. Yoon also attended the IPEF summit where members agreed on cooperation on clean energy and anti-corruption. Israeli forces say they found an entrance to a Hamas tunnel at the Al-Shifa hospital and a body of a hostage near the site, backing their claims that Hamas is using the hospital as cover. This comes as they advance into the next phase of the ground invasion. The IMF has raised South Korea's inflation forecast to 3.6% for this year, but it maintained the country's growth projection at 1.4% amid slow recovery in exports. We start with President Yoon's second day at the APEC summit in San Francisco. The South Korean leader held diplomatic meetings with various world leaders, including with U.S. President Joe Biden and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon joins us on the line. Well, Do-yeon, a three-way brief meeting between President Yoon and his U.S. and Japanese counterparts has garnered attention. What do we know so far about the meeting?
Right, Kyung, to be specific, South Korea's presidential office says the three met at the APEC leaders' photo session, coming together for the first time since the Camp David summit 3 months ago. While the specifics of their conversation have not been revealed yet, it comes against a backdrop of separate meetings between Biden and Kishida's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The Camp David summit was not received well by China. Also, as you mentioned, Yoon and Kishida sat down prior to this. That meeting was around 35 minutes long and demonstrated the budding friendship between the leaders as well as the vast improvement in bilateral relations, which fell to a critical low in 2019. Seoul and Tokyo's ties have been riddled with historical and territorial disputes arising from Imperial Japan's colonization of Korea and wartime atrocities, including forced labor and sexual slavery before and during World War II. President Yoon early this year made the first move, and this was their 7th meeting this year. Take a listen to what he had to say earlier today.
올해 정상을 비롯한 각계 각급에서 교류가 활성화되고 정부 간 협의체가 복원돼서 양국 간 협력이 심화되고 있습니다. 상반기 안보정책협의회 경제안보 대화에 이어서 지난달 외교 차관 전략 대화까지 재개되면서 지난 3월 방일시 합의한 모든 정부 간 협의체가 이제 100% 복원이 됐습니다.
Now, Prime Minister Kishida also gave a nod to the 7th meeting this year, saying he felt reassured that Seoul and Tokyo were closely cooperating amid rapidly changing geopolitical dynamics in the Middle East.
We have been initiating bilateral cooperation in diverse fields, including political relations, security, economy and culture. I hope to further develop this course of cooperation.
Right. He has had a very busy day, including attending the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, or the IPEF summit.
That's right, Kevin. President Yoon did attend the IPEF summit on the sidelines, where 14 members announced agreement on 2 more pillars of the initiative, covering cooperation on clean energy and anti-corruption measures. Now, this is only the 2nd summit of IPEF members, and this makes 3 of the 4 initiative pillars formally signed. The last one, which is yet to be formally agreed on, refers to trade matters. The members at this summit also agreed to create the IPEF network, a means of working together in people-to-people exchanges. And in Washington and Beijing's geopolitical rivalry in the Pacific region, the IPEF was launched May last year. South Korea, Japan, Australia, Thailand, and Vietnam are among the current 14 members, striving for a, quote, connected, resilient, clean, and fair economy, which represents the 4 pillars of the framework. Supply chain cooperation was the first to be finalized with trade officials prior to the APEC summit.
Right now, President Yoon also gave a speech during session 1 of the APEC summit. Could you give us the gist of that?
Sure. President Yoon cited the theme of the APEC summit, creating a resilient and sustainable future for all, and said South Korea will take the lead in tackling climate change. And with his expertise in smart mobility, which he said is one of the best ways to reduce carbon emissions. He said, quote, South Korea is actively promoting the expansion of smart mobility, such as eco-friendly vehicles, autonomous vehicles, and intelligent transportation systems. And he proposed establishing and promoting a special initiative at the APEC level to spread smart mobility. He also mentioned that APEC's climate center is located in South Korea's second largest city, Busan, and that South Korea could utilize this to take a lead. He also said that Busan is a port city that could contribute to reducing greenhouse gases emitted from maritime transportation. And while President Yoon didn't explicitly mention the 2030 World Expo, it was a chance to give Busan a boost in front of APEC leaders. That's all for now. Back to you, Kyung-in.
All right, thank you, Doyon, for the coverage. The U.S. Department of Defense has noted that the recently held security consultative meeting between South Korea and the U.S. centered on tailored deterrence. Mayor Collin, the U.S. Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, commented on Thursday that this week's bilateral security talks held between Seoul and Washington's defense chiefs focus on the importance of extended deterrence, making sure that it is tailored. During the talks, Seoul and Washington updated their tailored deterrence strategy for the first time in 10 years to better counter North Korea's advancing nuclear and missile threats. The agreement was established in 2013 for tailored deterrence against Pyongyang's nuclear weapons and other weapons of mass destruction. Israeli forces say they found an entrance to a Hamas tunnel at the Al-Shifa hospital and a body of a hostage near the site. This backing their claims that Hamas is using the hospital as cover. This comes as they advance into the next phase of the ground invasion. Our Lee Soo-jin with the latest.
The Israel Defense Forces has said that it has found the body of an Israeli hostage in a tunnel shaft at the Al-Shifa hospital complex in Gaza City. According to the IDF on Thursday local time, the Israeli military discovered the body of Yudit Weiss in a structure near Al-Shifa hospital.
The body of Judith, may her soul rest in peace, was recovered by our forces, the 7th Brigade, which was scanning the area by the Al-Shifa hospital. We recovered her body in one of the homes during the scanning. Near her body, we found bodies of terrorists who were holding Judith.
The 65-year-old woman was kidnapped by Hamas militants during the raid on southern Israel on October 7, when at least 1,200 people were killed and more than 200 were abducted. Her husband was also killed in the Hamas attack. The IDF also said that it had uncovered an entrance to a Hamas tunnel at the hospital, revealing videos and photographs of the tunnel shaft and weapons. It also said that a Hamas pickup truck similar to those used in the October 7 attacks was discovered carrying weapons near the tunnel entrance. This comes after Israeli troops raided the hospital Wednesday morning, searching the buildings and interrogating some people there. They say that Hamas has a military command center underneath the hospital. Israel's defense minister also supported this claim, saying the IDF's recent findings signal that there is significant underground infrastructure in the area.
I arrived today at the headquarters of the division, whose special forces also operate inside Al-Shifa hospital. There are significant findings there. The operation continues, and it is done in a precise, selective, but very, very determined manner.
He did not specify what the significant findings were. The defense minister added that the IDF has taken control of the western part of Gaza City and that the army has now moved on to the next phase of its ground operation. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
Global oil prices sank to their lowest level in 4 months on Thursday amid decreased demand. Over on the New York Stock Exchange, West Texas Intermediate, one of the main global oil benchmarks, fell by nearly 5% to $72.90 per barrel. In London, Brent crude dropped by 4.6% to settle at $77.42 a barrel. Both benchmarks hit the lowest level since early July. Watchers say a number of factors were behind Thursday's decline, including a surge in inventories and a global economic slowdown. On the same day, the U.S. reported an on-month drop of 0.6% in its industrial production for October. Amid oil price hikes and global economic uncertainties, the IMF has raised South Korea's inflation forecast to 3.6% for this year. But it maintained the country's growth projection at 1.4% amid slow recovery in exports. Our Moon Hyun has the details.
The International Monetary Fund's latest report has predicted that the country will reach its 2% inflation target by the end of next year. Following an annual meeting between the IMF and South Korea's Finance Ministry, Central Bank and other institutions back in September, a report detailing the agency's economic outlook as well as policy guidelines was released on Friday. Its economic growth outlook for this year is in line with the Bank of Korea's forecast of 1.4%, as the economy is expected to make a gradual recovery thanks to rising semiconductor exports and increased tourism. The country logged a rise in memory chip exports for the first time in 16 months in October. As for the IMF's growth projection for 2024, it maintained its forecast of 2.2% from October, down 0.2 percentage points from its forecast in July due to the continued slowdown in the manufacturing sector. Meanwhile, inflation is expected to keep slowing, reaching 3.6% this year and 2.4% next year, before reaching the country's inflation target of 2% by the end of 2024. This is a hike of 0.2 percentage points for 2023 and 0.1 percentage points for 2024 from its forecast in October. The IMF recommended keeping interest rates high for a considerable period in order to stabilize prices. It also evaluated South Korea's current monetary policy as being appropriate, as the BOK kept its benchmark interest rate unchanged last month. The country's foreign exchange reserves were analyzed as being sufficiently capable of responding to external shocks. Another policy recommendation made was the need for structural reforms to the labor market to provide more flexibility in Korea's labor market and narrow the gender gap in the workforce. With South Korea's aging population, the IMF said that pension reforms were needed to address high elderly poverty rates and maintain fiscal soundness. Bolder policies to respond to climate change were also cited as being needed in order to meet the government's greenhouse gas reduction goal for 2030. 문혜련, Arirang News.
South Korea's economy is slowly recovering, though there are still signs of uncertainty amid high volatility in raw material prices. According to the Finance Ministry's latest Green Book released on Friday, as the chip manufacturing industry improved by 12.9% on year, exports of manufactured goods recovered compared to a year before. South Korea also saw the most job additions in October since May 2022. However, the government cautioned that with the conflict in the Middle East, volatility in oil prices may cause fluctuations in consumer prices. South Korea's biggest sale event of the year is now underway. There are discount promotions for everything from groceries to home appliances and cars. Major cinemas are also included for the first time this year. Our Shin-Young reports.
South Korea's largest annual shopping festival, the Korea Sale Festa, is back again this year on a larger scale and for a longer period.
About 2,500 companies are taking part in the Korea Sale Festa, the most ever. And this year's event has also been extended from 15 to 20 days to ensure that people can take advantage of lower prices.
Marking its 9th year, there are discounts on a wide range of items from food and fashion to automobiles. Large supermarkets are offering up to a 50% discount and buy one get one free promotions on fresh produce, processed food, household goods, and more. With the kimchi making season underway, there have been discounts on kimchi making ingredients too. Hyundai Motor is offering discounts of up to 6 million won or around $4,500 on electric cars, while Kia Motors is offering discounts of up to 7 million won. LG Electronics has included 17 popular items such as dryers, dishwashers, and steam closets in the promotion, while Samsung Electronics has 16 items on discount, including TVs. Also, major cinemas are taking part for the first time, offering a 3,000 won discount on movie tickets.
It's great that there are a variety of discounted items, but it'd be even better if there were bigger discounts on daily necessities.
I use social media a lot, but I didn't know about this event. With prices going up these days, I hope there are good deals on kitchenware and bedding, especially for single-person households.
The government plans to stimulate consumer sentiment through the large-scale discount event. Private spending in the third quarter only rose by 0.3% compared to the previous quarter. Considering the decline in the second quarter, the domestic market is still relatively sluggish. However, experts say that the boost to consumer spending could be limited as the level of discounts is relatively lower than what's offered on China's Singles' Day and Black Friday in the U.S.
On Black Friday, manufacturers are the ones that cut prices, resulting in big discounts. But in Korea, unless manufacturers lower prices, relying solely on discounts from retailers may have limitations in encouraging consumers to open their wallets.
She added that the government should offer incentives to both retailers and manufacturers so that consumers can buy heavily discounted products. 신하영, Arirang News.
The South Korean national football team kicked off their 2026 World Cup qualifications with a big win over Singapore. 5 different players got on the score sheet during last night's 5-0 win. Lee Seung-jae has more.
The South Korean national football team hammered Singapore 5-0 on Thursday night at the Seoul World Cup Stadium to begin its qualification journey to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. 5 different Taeguk warriors scored on the night, including Jo Kyu-sung, who netted the first goal of the match just before the end of the first half. A few minutes after the restart, Jo provided the assist for Wolverhampton striker Hwang Hee-chan's header for a 2-0 lead. South Korea's captain and Tottenham Hotspur striker Son Heung-min also got on the score sheet with a left foot strike in the 63rd minute before Hwang Hee-jo scored from the penalty spot just 5 minutes later. PSG midfielder Lee Gang-in also got in on the action of scoring for South Korea, scoring in the 85th minute, his 3rd consecutive international goal to close out the convincing 5-0 win. With their first win under their belt, South Korea will now travel to Shenzhen to play China next Tuesday for the final World Cup qualifying match of 2023. The remaining Group C matches include a home and away series against Thailand in March 2024. The Taeguk Warriors will try to extend their World Cup appearance streak to 11, having competed at every World Cup since 1986. The 2026 World Cup will be co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and will be the first edition to feature 48 nations, up from the current 32-team format. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The first Korean version of the official guidebook to the Vatican Museums has been published. The Korean embassy in the Vatican made the announcement on Thursday, saying it is part of a project to commemorate 60 years of diplomatic relations between Korea and the Vatican. The guidebook has been available at bookstores within the Vatican Museum since Monday. In 2021, the embassy improved the Vatican Museum's Korean audio guide, but no official guidebook in Korean was available until now. The Vatican Museums can trace their history back over 500 years and feature a total of 70,000 works of art.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In Spain, Socialist Party leader Pedro Sánchez won a parliamentary vote on Thursday, giving him a second term as Spain's Prime Minister. Spain's Conservative Popular Party won the most seats in July's general election, but was unable to form a majority coalition. However, Sánchez secured a 4-seat majority to win 179 out of the 350-seat chamber. The Prime Minister offered an amnesty deal to Catalan separatists to secure votes from the 2 Catalan pro-independence parties, which ultimately led to his victory in the parliament. While Sánchez told MPs that the amnesty deal would help heal wounds, Spain has seen mass protests against the measure, with polls revealing over 70% of Spaniards are against it. The amnesty protects hundreds of people who have already been penalized or face prosecution for an illegal push for independence for the Catalan region in 2017, and also covers the period from January 1, 2012 to November 13th of this year. The UK's new Foreign Secretary David Cameron got straight down to business as he made his first official working visit to Ukraine. He met with President Volodymyr Zelensky and the country's foreign minister in Kyiv on Thursday. While Cameron pledged to continue Britain's long-term support for Ukraine in the meeting, there is no significant announcement on additional military or humanitarian aid. The UK spent some $2.9 billion in 2022 on the defense of Ukraine in its war against Russia, with the same amount pledged for 2023. Whether that level of support will continue will be revealed next Wednesday when Britain's Chancellor of Exchequer makes his autumn statement. Cambodia on Thursday inaugurated its newest and biggest airport, the Siem Reap Angkor International Airport. The international airport, which began operations on October 16th, is located about 40 kilometers east of Angkor Wat and can handle 7 million passengers a year, with plans to increase the capacity to up to 12 million from 2040. The $1.1 billion Chinese-financed airport, which replaces the old airport in the region, aims to increase access to the country's main tourist attraction, the Angkor Wat Temple Complex in Siem Reap. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet, as well as the Chinese ambassador to Cambodia and the governor of China's Yunnan province, were at Thursday's ceremony. Aquaculture is one of the most rapidly growing food sectors, with more people now eating farmed fish than fish caught in the wild. While there are concerns about whether farm-grown fish are safe considering the difference between ecosystems, companies like Atlantic Sapphire have adapted technology to minimize the harm done to the fish and maximize production. In their salmon farming warehouse near Miami, indoor tanks are set at the right temperature, salinity, and lighting to mimic the natural environment. Damien Clare, Atlantic Sapphire's chief marketing officer, says that their technology lowered the mortality rate of the fish to around 3% compared to the industry average of 20%. Kim Si-young, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. It feels like we are 2 months ahead of the time, temperature-wise. A sharp wind is making it colder, and highs in Seoul should only go up to 3 degrees this afternoon. And it seems like we'll have to wait till Sunday afternoon to see some relief from this strong cold snap. We had sunny skies to start the day, then it will get murky with precipitation nationwide. Seoul could see the first snow of this season, while mountainous regions in Jeju could see up to 15 centimeters of snow, and the rest of the country could see 1 to 5 centimeters of snowfall during the day, or 5 to 20 millimeters of rain in most places. Those of us in the upper parts of the country need to stay covered all day today. Chuncheon tops out at 4 degrees, Daejeon at 7 degrees this afternoon. But at least southern provinces should have highs in the teens this afternoon. Looking ahead, we'll finally get some time to say farewell to the autumn before winter air moves in at the end of next week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
During his APEC trip, Chinese President Xi Jinping met U.S. business leaders at a gala dinner. It was a hot ticket to get a spot at the head table with President Xi, where seats reportedly cost $40,000. According to Bloomberg, at the table of 8 were Apple CEO Tim Cook, Blackstone Steve Schwarzman, and Larry Fink of BlackRock. Tesla's Elon Musk attended the reception but did not stay for the dinner. The dinner served included a salad, steak, sweet potato puree, fruit tart, and wine. But rather than the menu, the dinner was a chance to rub elbows with officials from America's major trading partner, or for Xi, it was a chance to attract and assure investors. Now, that's all for today. Thanks for watching.